going to get it or a 0% chance you're going to get it. It's an analog function. There's a varying scale of risk. As we all know, we've all been in situations where someone has been sick with a cold or virus, and some people that were in close proximity to them would get it, others wouldn't. But why would we take that chance with it? And of course, this story comes out from ABC News about a U.S. journalist who's just being brought back for treatment to the United States, said that he got Ebola while cleaning an infected car. So what does that tell us about this sloppy cleanup work where these guys were pressure washing with no protective equipment, turning whatever was on the sidewalk into aerosol days afterwards? But they just left it there for days. By that time, perhaps the virus was dead, being exposed to the light, being exposed and left there from at least Sunday until Thursday afternoon when they did it. That was there for a full, 4 days? So it may have been dead by that point. Hopefully it was. But during that time, when he threw up on Sunday to the time that it died, however long that was, people who walked by there were exposed to that.
I'm going to go to a quick call now. Mike in Pennsylvania, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Hi, gentlemen. You guys are on the perfect topic. This is what I was calling to try to get at here. We're going to know very soon, within 20 days here or so, if these practices that they're not doing, okay, and being very sloppy with really are, the true Ebola virus, because people are just going to start getting it everywhere with the way they've handled it. I mean, this is absolutely ridiculous, number one. They don't seem to be very concerned about it, okay? So, I mean, in a month from now, if we don't have cases breaking out everywhere, it's a given it was a false flag. I mean, because nobody in their right mind would do these things under any normal situation.
Well, I mean, the CDC, again, people are contradicting it on every level. I mean, I've got this article here, US nurses say they are unprepared to handle Ebola patients. These are the nurses working in the actual hospitals where any potential Ebola victims will be taken. And again, the hospital that took in patient 0, Duncan, last week, they had all received Ebola training before he arrived, and yet they sent him home anyway. Now we have hundreds of nurses last week, I believe, protesting against the fact that they had not received proper Ebola training. We also have this article out of Reuters today. There you see, up on Infowars.com, the shocking truth, the US medical system is woefully unprepared for Ebola. So, David, I mean, the problem is if this does become more widespread, we're not going to be ready to handle it, clearly.
That's absolutely true, Paul. And, just as you were talking to Robert David Steele, he made the comment that the CDC was not being honest with medical care workers. He said, and I didn't get the numbers that he had, but basically what it boiled down to was that the particulate size of the Ebola virus is smaller than the filters that they're recommending for the healthcare workers. That kind of echoes what we're hearing out of Spain, where we now have 4 people, including one nurse, hospitalized. They're looking at them for Ebola. It has definitely been confirmed on one of the healthcare workers. And, of course, we've had over 300 healthcare workers die in West Africa treating people. They're very upset. The union there is saying that they are accusing the government of providing hospital staff with inadequate protective clothing. And according to The Guardian, they say staff at the hospital said waste from the rooms of both patients had been carried out in the same elevator used by all personnel. The hospital is also reportedly not evacuated when the second patient came in to receive treatment. So they're coming under a lot of pressure to explain their approach to this, and there's going to be a lot of people very angry if this expands here in the United States. And, of course, we've had a top doctor say on Fox News that he would not be surprised if the U.S. has another Ebola case. So once this happens, people are going to start asking some really hard questions of these healthcare officials who are casually dismissing the risks involved in this.
Now we have reports 50 to 75% chance of Ebola hitting the UK. I mean, the question is, we've had months to prepare for this, and it seems that people have been caught on the back foot in Spain, in the United States, and potentially other countries going forward. Mike's gone. We got Evan in Minnesota. You're on the air. Go ahead, Evan.
Yes, how are you guys doing today?
Good, Evan. What's your point?
Okay. The CDC, is there a private organization just like the Federal Reserve?
The CDC...
That's the question. The CDC is just like the Federal Reserve. It's a private organization. why does the CDC own 70 patents of Ebola? That means 70 variations, along with the World Health, or not the World Health Organization, the National Health Organization has the patent to make with Bill Gates, a vaccine, just like Monsanto.
This is a question that came up, David, weeks ago now, because, of course, the FDA blocked several Ebola treatments before this outbreak even began, and then we've got reports that the CDC has all these patents on different strains of Ebola. So is the profit motive there in creating the panic, then creating the vaccine with these patents? We'll get your answer after the break. Going to go to more of your calls. We've got James in Florida, Sue in Tennessee coming up, and Casey in Oklahoma. It's the Alex Jones Show live. Of course, we got new Ebola cases in Europe. The CDC continues to completely drop the ball. We're going to cover that and more in the final segment of the Alex Jones Show live with me, Paul Joseph Watson. Infowars.com. Stay right there.
Are you ready to surrender your right to buy body armor? No joke. Congress is now trying to outlaw civilian body armor. And if House Bill H.R. 5344 becomes law, you can kiss your right to protect yourself against rifle bullets goodbye. Don't put off your body armor purchase any longer. Go now to InfidelBodyArmor.com. Thousands of military veterans trust their lives to Infidel Body Armor. You should too. Spelled INFIDEL. Infidel Body Armor. Just won't quit.
Hi, this is Ted Anderson. Have you ever wondered why banks, stockbrokers, investment advisors won't talk about gold IRAs? They've been available since 1986, yet the financial industry won't recognize the value of gold for your retirement. Gold has outperformed paper investments, yet no word about IRAs. If you would like to have gold for your retirement, call 800-686-2237. Don't get left behind by rising inflation and low returns. Call 800-686-2237. Secure your future and call 1-800-686-2237.
Hi, folks. Alex Jones here with some important information. I want to tell you about Matt Redhawk and his team of patriots over at My Patriot Supply. Several years ago, Matt was sitting in his two-bedroom apartment, frustrated with the direction this country was headed and the charlatans willing to sell us out for a quick buck. Deciding to take action, a company run by patriots for patriots was born. My Patriot Supply has never taken a loan or accepted outside funding. They now operate 2 distribution facilities and employ over 50 hardworking American men and women. It is rare to find companies who practice what they preach. And that's why I stock my pantry with high-quality storable foods from My Patriot Supply. Go to mypatriotsupply.com/Alex today for special offers on emergency food storage, or call their preparedness specialist at 866-229-0927. That's 866-229-0927. Do business with someone who shares your values. mypatriotsupply.com/Alex.
Americans, prepare for financial ruin. That is what one of the world's richest men, Donald Trump, said just a few weeks ago. What are you doing to prepare? The problems that caused the last financial crisis were never fixed. In fact, they're even worse now. The total amount of debt in the U.S. has grown by more than 57% since September 2008. The too big to fail banks are much larger, and the massive derivatives bubble is spiraling so far out of control that the only thing left to do is watch the spectacular crash landing that is inevitably coming. If you're a baby boomer with retirement funds, it's time you consider exiting the Wall Street casino and start a cash-flowing international business of your own. There may be ways to preserve your wealth, but history has shown that few things can grow your wealth like having your own business. The crash is coming. Take measures now to soften the landing. Go to babyboomerBackupPlan.com or call 888-507-8789. That's babyboomerBackupPlan.com.
Get up, stand up. Stand up for your right. Get up, stand up. Stand up for your right. Get up, stand
Final
up.
segment of the Alex Jones Show on this Tuesday edition. Alex will be back in the hot seat tomorrow. But now the CFR, a senior fellow at the CFR, has found the cure for Ebola, and it's Obamacare. David Knight.
Yeah, this is pretty amazing. And this kind of goes along with the press conference that Kit Daniels wrote the story about. They had a press conference today saying, don't worry, We're going to send these soldiers who really, I have a question as to what their mission is. Military men have a question as to what their mission is, into harm's way, in direct contact with Ebola. But don't worry, because they're going to have careful reintegration once they return to the U.S., presumably the same way that they're reintegrating this nurse that they told she could go back to work as a healthcare worker after 7 days after she was exposed to this Ebola patient. But we see that this is a full offensive. There was an article in Stars and Stripes, and this was from Laurie Garrett. She is a senior fellow at the Council on Foreign Relations, and the headlines says, Obamacare may hold the key to saving the U.S. from Ebola. Now, don't worry, soldiers, if you go to Africa and you get Ebola, Obamacare and the VA have your back. That's essentially the bottom line here. She pushes back against what she calls false claims that the virus is spread through the air between monkeys housed in a military facility in the 90s. We talked about that earlier. We had quotes from the scientists who were actually there, but she apparently believes otherwise. And then she talks about how in Hong Kong, when they forced quarantine, they still got it. The question is, not whether it was 100% effective, but whether it lowered the spread of the disease. But this is the key takeaway article. This is how she finishes it. She says, America's special vulnerability to Ebola is its limitations on access to health care. So in times of contagion, societal risk rises with every uninsured or underinsured individual who struggles to work or go off to school with a fever, avoiding bankrupting visits to health providers. One doesn't have to have a political position up or down on Obamacare to recognize that it can solve this problem. So we have infinite resources where we can take care of everyone in America and everyone in the world. If they just come here, Obamacare will save them.
But I mean, they couldn't even take care of one Ebola patient. They sent him home. They were trained for Ebola, yet it completely failed them. And again, nurses everywhere protesting that these hospitals are not prepared for admitting people potentially exposed to Ebola. So God knows how Obamacare is going to help a situation where, 40% of the people who've got this virus have died. Sue in Tennessee, quick, final caller, you're on the air, go ahead.
My call. Reason I'm calling today is I've not heard any questions or anything brought up. One of your callers just called in and he never got an answer. Looking at the article, the government of the U.S., as represented by the Department of Health and Human Services, Center of Disease Control, the patent says the invention provides the isolated human Ebola viruses denoted as Ebobun deposited with the Center of Disease Control in Atlanta, Georgia in 2007. There's a patent online, and everybody's ignoring it. I've sent it and sent it. I've sent it to every news station, and I've not even heard InfoWars mention it.
David,
what they will tell you is that their patent is on the handling of it and the growing of it and that sort of thing. But I'm very troubled by the fact that we have the CDC, an organization like the Federal Reserve, in so much control of what's happening here. And I'm not very happy with the misinformation that has been coming out of there and the examples that they've been giving to people. I firmly believe that they're going to allow this to grow. They're looking at the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation and Burroughs Wellcome are working on changing ZMapp so they can, it's going to take them longer to do it, but they're going to mass produce it in a different way after, I think, it has started to spread amongst our soldiers and in the United States.
That's going to wrap it up for today's edition of The Alex Jones Show. Alex will be back in the hot seat tomorrow. Keep up to date with the latest news at Infowars.com. We'll see you tomorrow. Take care.
You are listening to GCN. Visit GCNlive.com today.
General, what do you think about the FBI saying that there's a terror alert on Monday about a potential Fort Hood situation?
The police are shoving people, shoving Alex, shoving the crowd.
Here we go, folks. I'm being assaulted.
Whether it's the radio show, the news websites, documentary films, or the nightly news, InfoWars is the tip of the spear.
Is this another false flag stage attack to take our civil liberties and put more homeland security while sticking their hands down on the pants on the streets?
It's up to us to set brush fires in the minds of men and women everywhere. And that's what PrisonPlanet.tv is designed to do.
You watch the Assad Assad regime is going to be blamed or accused of using chemical weapons against the so-called rebels.
What we see now is a war against reality. It's a war against the truth.
It's more vital than ever that supporters of freedom become members of PrisonPlanet.tv and share their membership with up to 11 friends and family. Visit InfoWarsNews.com today. Become a member, share your membership, and help take the InfoWar to the next level.